Hello again. It has become very obvious that one of the challenges a lot of students face these days is their inability to adopt the best strategies or learning tricks for studying their material. For me personally, my encounter with students have made me to conclude that it's one of the most frustrating situations that every student can find him or herself. Now, after sitting for hours to read a lot of materials online or from textbooks, these students still complain that they are unable to recall these information when they have class exercises, when they have assignments or are writing exams. And it's obvious that the problem could just be how the information was grasped from the onset. And that is what I seek to address in this video. So just get your jotter and watch, take notes and prepare. I can assure you that after watching this video, that problem will be solved. That is if you also do your part and apply these methods or strategies in your learning or study from now onwards. You're welcome to GCL Tutorials and thank you for clicking on this video. Now, one of the things that most students fail to note is that studying something has to be approached systematically. You cannot just get up and say, I'm studying something or I'm learning. Then you pick a book, read, and you are preparing for an exam. It has to follow some principles and you must adopt some strategies in order to grasp the information or the material you are studying. I'll take you through 10 solid steps or tricks, and these tips are going to help you to improve academically, because if you claim you have learned something, basically the proof has to be that there's a change in behavior and there's a permanent practice, which means that the information is kept in your memory to the point that you cannot forget it and you can always recall anytime you are being asked to produce that information. So let's start with tip number 1. The trick is that don't try to memorize an information when you don't understand it. A lot of students make this mistake. They think you can just pick the material and start reading. You are doing what we call rote learning, chew and pour. No, understanding the material is more important than trying to memorize it. That should be the first step. So try and understand the material. When you pick a passage, for instance, in an English exams, when you have several paragraphs put together, you see, the answers are within the paragraphs. If you don't read the passage to understand, you cannot go back to the questions and answer them properly. So understanding is key. You pick a definition in science or in social studies, trying to understand constitution. If they are put words together, constitution is a set of fundamental laws or set of rules and regulations used to govern a state. You need to take note of each of the words, the phrases, and the clauses used in that. What is the entire sentence talking about? What are the phrases put together talking about? The words that have been used over there, are they strange words? Are they terms you are not too familiar with? If they are not, you need to first get how they've been used contextually in the sentence. Then you look for a dictionary, check the meanings of the strange words, try applying them in the sentence again and see if you can grasp the meaning. The moment you are able to get the understanding, you know what it is about. If it's about how flowering plants produce fruits or something, there are steps to that. If it's about the preparation of gases, mixture, compounds, there are names attached to that. And you see, we've all been in school before. I've had this issue. I completed secondary school or high school before I got to know that what we call NPK 1515, which is an example of an inorganic fertilizer, we just put it in our mind just like that, chew and pour, as we already call rote learning. And then you say, okay, give an example of an inorganic fertilizer. Then you say NPK 1515. We did not know, we were not told what the N stands for, what the P stands for, what the K stands for. You get it? But trying to understand that, okay, the N is nitrogen, the P is phosphorus, the K is potassium, and they are chemical symbols, and they've used the chemical symbols to replace them. So it means that that material or that item or that fertilizer contains those chemicals put together. If we understand that they are chemicals put together, then we can then say, oh, then they are not organic fertilizer, they are not natural, they are made by putting these chemicals together. And that understanding will make us remember or recall that if I'm to write or give an example of an inorganic fertilizer, I just have to remember those chemicals and then write them and provide them as an answer. So trying to understand the material first before memorizing is key in every study. Trick or tip number 2, link the information. Everything you are reading as a learner can be linked to something you already know. Try as much as possible to get things you already know that are close or familiar to the new information you're acquiring. Then you try to link them. It could be numbers. You could link them to numbers. You could link them to your date of birth. You could link them to your father's telephone number. It might be too tough trying to do this or figure this out, but then that's why we have other tricks or other methods, so you can explore those ones too. But linking, I think, works a lot. I was trying to study the location of Ghana's mineral resources, and I took mineral resources such as bauxite, manganese. Now I look at bauxite. Okay, we have A in the bauxite. Okay, so I linked it to Awaso because Awaso is a major location, and then I can link that to that. So if I see the A, I can link it. Akwitia, okay, Akwitia, so I know Akwitia diamond. I look at the I in the TIA at the end of the spelling of Akwitia. Okay, then I link it to the diamond, the I in the diamond. When I look at manganese in Suta, because there are two N's over there, so I can link it to the first starting letter of Nsuta. Then I have the locations. These are a lot of things. I know there are so many things you read or you learn, so you can be able to look for something which is familiar and link the expressions, link the terms, link them to names, link them to numbers. During the exams or you are sitting for a test, when you remember those numbers or the names, you are able to recall the information or the answers that you discovered when you were reading that material. Now the next one, this one is so fascinating, but we mostly don't value how powerful it is. Have you realized that when there's a new song released by whether your favorite artist or song that people are singing, it's a new song or new track. When you sing that song or you go through the lyrics, you find it difficult to sing along because it's just a new song. But you realize that after you pick the song in the night and you sing, try to mash the lyrics anyhow, you go to bed with it. You wake up and you realize that you can sing it better than what you did the previous night. Have you ever noticed that? Yes, this trick can be used in your study practice. What is happening here is that the brain processes, okay, and stores information when you are asleep. It's so powerful. And this one, studies have shown it. Everything you read and you find it difficult to get it into your memory, just sleep on it. Take it to bed, sleep, and then leave it. You wake up, you start recalling such information. And even the ones that were not able to sink deep into your memory, you realize that they even come. The memory itself has departments, long-term, short-term memory. They play important role. And if you are able to take things into your sleep deeply, the brain can process them and you'll be able to store them easily. So the following day, when you pick that material and you start reading, you realize that it moves faster or recalling them becomes faster compared to the previous day or the previous times that you were trying to keep them. So sleeping on the material or taking the information into your sleep is also one of the tips you can explore. Then the part that is hard for a lot of students to do is testing, self-testing. They fail to do that. After they have read a lot of information, they now go back to sleep, wake up, try to read, and then they do not set exercises or pick questions on those things. Test yourself, learn to test yourself. Testing yourself means that you are picking questions related to the thing you have read and you are trying to pick a lot of examples or information, even from the classroom, from your friends, your groups. Then you solve those questions. You can set questions for yourself. When you are done with the ones in the textbook or the ones in the textbooks are not enough, you can still look at the structure or the nature of those questions and try to mathematics, put figures there. We were told in school that if you want to know how to solve the maths, keep solving. Know how to, you want to become a good mathematician, keep solving. You want to become a good writer, keep writing. You want to become a good speaker, keep speaking. Keep listening. Listening is also a skill. All these things, just do it. Just do it. Keep doing it. Self-testing is one of the powerful tools you can also explore. With that, you don't necessarily need to do a quick test just immediately after you are done with memorizing the item. It might not help, okay? So don't get yourself frustrated because sometimes you might not be able to solve or come up with the right answers. Wait for a while, give some space. So you have to examine yourself. You can do it in few hours, 2 hours, or a day or two. Then you check or you use the self-test questions to know whether the things are really stored or have been completely stored in your memory or not. Another trick is try writing the information out. Writing the information out can also help you and boost your memory. Okay, write the information because there's a connection between the brain and the hand. Okay, you observe clearly that, or most of you have been doing it, whenever a lesson is going on and they put something on the board, see, the moment you begin to write and you try as much as possible to keep away or keep yourself away from all forms of distractions, you realize that the moment you start writing them, your memory is picking them one by one. You might not get the entire thing, but you are picking sentence, you are picking words, or you are getting familiar with some of the new things that are being written on the board or projected for you to copy or write. So writing itself is one powerful tool. People don't like to do this. So try writing the information out. That's why copying summary notes in class is very important. Now, after the class, what you do is that pick those notes, pick a pen and a jotter. Try writing the explanations in your own words. I always tell students to do that. Write them in your own words. Organize them. Organizing the information or the notes or summary notes in your own jotter, not in somebody's own. When you are doing it, you'll be able to recall. In the exams, you remember that, okay, this is how I did it when I was in the class or at home. And you'll be able to put those information on paper anytime you ask questions based on that. Then another powerful study trick, mnemonics. Mnemonics are very powerful. You can use initial letters of words, put them together. After creating those words, you now put them together and form sentences, like meaningful sentences. So people can recite them, people can even sing as song, compose. A lot of students have been doing that. When we were in school, we did that with the first 20 elements on the periodic table. Hello, hello, little well boy, that thing. There's a new one the student uses this. Yes, that's mnemonics. So always try and do that. You can pick initial letters, use them to memorize the things that you have read, put them as words or together as words. Then you now arrange them in meaningful sentences. So that's the use of the mnemonics. There is this common one for memorizing the 9 planets. When we're in school, we use that. My very eyes may just see under 9 planets. Okay, see, so my very eyes are mine, Mercury, first letter M, Mercury, very Venus, Earth, okay, eyes, E. So that starts. Then you have getting to the end, Pluto under 9 planets, under U for Uranus, okay? Then you have Jupiter and all of them, just, okay? So these are mnemonics. You can do that. There's one other trick that is also not too distinct from the mnemonics. With that one, abbreviations or acronyms could be formed, okay, with what item or material you are trying to learn or memorize. And you can use initial letters as well. But here they will sound like, they will not be complete sentences, but just one word. So in solving Pythagoras theorem, like we had this one called SOHCAHTOA, okay, SOHCAHTOA. So the SOH. So when you have S, so sine, then you have opposite over hypotenuse. Then K, then you have adjacent, that's the cos, theta, adjacent over hypotenuse. People do that. So the SOHCAHTOA method has been very, very useful to a lot of students in the area of math. Then we also use, I remember this one, board mass, board mass. So you have the board mass, BODMAS, so board mass. So brackets comes first. Then you have off, that's multiplication. Then you have division, okay, then multiplication, and then you have addition and subtraction. Yeah, so you have board mass, also very useful, and that could also be meaningful group of words that you could use as a study trick. Next trick, learn to space out your learning periods, okay? What material you are learning. So if it is about history, sociology, physics, give them some form of regular intervals, okay, to study them. So if you know how hard it is to grasp the information under physics, then you know, okay, I'm placing this, learning this material. So I look at definition, then I'll come back to solving the theory aspects. Then you put something, an interval like 2 hours or 2 days. Next week, you are learning something like that. Plan your personal timetable. to actually meet how difficult these subjects are. We call that distributed practice. So there are times you read a thing, you have to repeat it, okay? Don't rush to acquire a new information when you have actually not had a full grasp of the previous one. So what you do is that space out. In 3 days' time, go back to the same material, keep repeating that same item, okay? You are talking about years, okay, periods. Arrange the things. You have events, so the years are there, the names are there. I'm talking about history. Put them in that order and then do that. 2 days, 3 days, you are repeating the same item. Repetition is key. Spacing out and repeating these same items will store them in your long-term memory, and you can actually bring them into your short-term memory when you have an exams ahead of you and you are preparing to write. That's the power of repetition, and it is called distributed practice. You can use that tip or that trick as well. Next step, talk to yourself. Talk to yourself. The sense organs of every human being are so powerful. There's a connection between all these, the eyes, the ears, and they have that connection, that link with the brain. When you have pictures, you see, okay, so you visualize. So the visual learners are there. Talk to yourself. Make use of the ears when you are learning. Pick the item, say them loud. You can be in your private space or in your room, study room. Say the things, echo them, make them loud, and let them get into your ears. Make them look as if someone is reading out something. Have you observed that when we are in our group studies and people are sharing information, let's say in a literature class or literature group, reading group, when people read and put across narrations, we are able to get them faster than when we are reading them by ourselves. Yes, that's the power of the ears. So when the ears listen, we enjoy listening and we want people to say or narrate the story so we can make our own notes or conclusions. See, that's the power of the ear. So you can do that in your private studies. Pick the item, keep reading, read out, talk to yourself, look into the mirror, and you'll be able to memorize some of these things as fast as possible. And then finally, as you are doing all these things, you are trying to put a lot of stress on the brain and you are making use of your sense organs. You need to be in good health. The brain is so powerful. The brain needs a lot of blood to flow through it so it can function properly. That's why you need to exercise. So the last tip is that do a lot of exercise. And teachers, please, when students sit in a class or in a lesson for a long time, you have to understand that it shouldn't exceed 2 hours. If they have been sitting for long, that's why there are break periods. Even if within the lesson, an hour, 1.5, can let them get up, walk around. They need to cause some triggers in their veins and their blood vessels. The blood must move. Whatever they have eaten during their break time, things must digest and the brain must begin to function. When the brain is functioning well and the blood is flowing through and the nervous system is ready, the nerves are there to attract the information that are being put in. Nerves are mostly responsible for the processing of these information. And if the nerves are not active, you cannot memorize things. That's why you need a lot of exercise. So you hear people say, oh, work and no play, make Jack a dull boy, or play and no work, make Jack a lazy boy. So yes, it's true, but then don't overdo it. Don't spend too much time playing so you miss or forget the things you have already kept or stored in your memory. You have to engage in your exercise, which is very necessary to strengthen the brain, strengthen the nerves, and make the nerves always active to acquire more information. I'm sure you have picked 1 or 2 tricks already. So I've shared about 10 of them. These 10, there are some that you're already doing or practicing. Now you know how powerful they are, and I'm sure you are going to continue to use them. But you have to study yourself very well. If any of them that you're already using is not working for you, then you have to switch to other tips or strategies and the tricks. And I believe that out of these 10, if you are able to put these into use for the next 2-3 months, this year is going to be a very good year for you as far as academic excellence or performance is concerned. And I wish you all the best. I want you to excel and become the best in your class. Thank you for watching GCL tutorials. You have to subscribe to my channel. If you have any question with regards to the learning tips and learning tricks, you can put the comments in the comment section. Share this video with other learners out there. Teachers, let's make use of them and understand these students, help them and make them also progress academically. Thank you for watching once again, and bye. See you again.